3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into, start right, good line, good view, hit Drew, shoot and make Abbott.
We talked about who's that other guy from EMU that like I couldn't remember.
Michael Blair.
This is him, man. So we talked about Jake, and we're gonna have Coop on. Well, we talked to him in the last little while. Jake, two Jakes, Cam. And I think even somebody else. So Michael Blair was the other one that I couldn't remember. I was like, who was that? So yeah, it's been almost 3 years, Michael, since you and I chatted when you won the PEI. I think that was 21.
20, yeah, it was like late August 21.
Yeah. So we've been at 2.5 years. It's crazy. Time flies, man. Time absolutely flies. So thanks for joining us, man. I know it's
no problem.
I know it's probably a nicer night there. I'm looking out at the clouds and stuff, but you're down in Orlando, you said. So
yeah, it's about 25, 26 right now still. So.
Tough.
Not too shabby.
Really tough. We had like a little hint of golf season up here. Well, you know how the weather works. You're from like Ancaster, right?
Yeah.
So like you know how this world works. We got like a couple 10 degrees here. So any of the U.S. listeners, that'd be like 50s into the 50s. Bryce, you would touch it too. You got like a week and then we're shut back
I played
down.
twice and then we got snow yesterday. So.
Yeah, that's it. So Michael, can you give us like a little intro of who you are? I know we got some things that we definitely want to talk about, but give the listeners a little idea who Michael Blair is, because it's probably been 170 episodes since we chatted, I guess. So
yeah, I was there in the beginning. But yeah, to recap, I guess, or to introduce the people who don't know, my name is Michael Blair. I'm born in Hamilton, grew up in Burlington, and then about 15 plus years ago back to Ancaster and Hamilton area. So yeah, I went to Eastern Michigan, as you guys were mentioning there. Eastern Michigan University, played golf there. After that was 2015 I finished, and turned pro in 2016. I dealt with some shoulder injuries after that, tore my rotator cuff, kind of had a banged up left shoulder here, so that kind of was a bit of stop and start right from the get-go there. So played a little bit Mackenzie Tour in 2020 or 2016 when I turned pro, doing some Mondays, and got in 3 or 4 events, and then really was getting pain in the left shoulder again over the winter 2017. So I didn't really do much. 2017, 2018, I was kind of at that point was hitting the wall of frustration with injury, where I was like, okay, I need to regain usage of my left arm. Golf was secondary at that point. So I'll spend most of that time rehabbing. I had a PRP injection in my left shoulder, which is platelet-rich plasma, like blood spinning, where they inject the plasma into your injury there. And then like my tendon was supraspinatus, the outer one I tore. It was basically rock hard. It was no longer moving, stretching. Also had a bone spur, some other bad stuff in there. So spent most 20 months recovering from that, more for just like quality of life. Like I couldn't really lift my arm kind of above my shoulder for a while there. So fortunately was good enough to go back to golf. Started playing again in 2019, like in the springtime. And we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary. I played the Canadian Open in 2019. I somehow miraculously qualified like 2 months removed from this debilitating shoulder injury, which that feels like yesterday and also like 2 lifetimes ago now. It's 5 years back in Hamilton actually this year for the Open. But so 2019 just started getting back into it, and games started kind of coming together again towards 2020, which was a great time for global pandemic to hit, whereas I was getting back on the horse there. So yeah, I mean, we had the nice 2020, basically everything canceled, lockdown, stuck at home. Ontario was fortunate to be the only place in the world where you couldn't really golf or go outside. So it was fun. And then 2021, we kind of honestly had the same thing for a while. Fortunately, the Mackenzie Tour decided to still play their event, like 8 events in Canada. It was a late start. It didn't start till July, I think, around July. But they still played 8 events just to be like, hey, well, we got the Forum Tour in the States. Like, we'll just do this for Canadians. They cut the purse down a bit, but we still had something to play. which is where we first spoke after I managed to win the PEI Open that year, and then earned my Mackenzie Tour card for 2022. Had an okay year. I mean, that was kind of my first, felt like full, like normal year of professional golf, 2022, even though I technically turned pro in 2016, just with injuries and stops and starts. So that was like full year first, to me, felt like first full year of like having status, having a schedule, no interruptions injury wise or, pandemic wise. And yeah, it was a good learning year. Played some good golf, some not good golf, but fortunate enough to get through Q school in the fall of 2022 to earn Korn Ferry status for 2023. But unfortunately, didn't play well enough at final stage, so I was kind of way down in the priority ranking. So I just spent last year doing a lot of Mondays, trying to get into tournaments, traveling everywhere, like really not having a schedule, which was tough. I mean, you can always learn things from it, but it's just a grind to, hey, I'm going to go here and hopefully I play. If not, then I'll go to another one. And nothing's really set in stone. I mean, I played one Latin Tour event just because I could get a start there. I think I played 7 Canadian Tour events or something like that.
It's expensive too.
Yeah. So it was, traveling everywhere, last minute flight changes. I tried to, obviously I tried to do it as, fiscally responsibly as possible, or splitting with guys that I know, or, you have a budget obviously to work within. So I think I did pretty well, I guess. But at the end of the day, when you're not making when you're just, I think I played about 25 to 30 Mondays between KFT and PGA last year. Missed by one a lot.
Wow.
Lost in the playoff at the RSM just in the fall here. That was probably the closest. I missed by one a few times. Missed by 2 a bunch of times. But I guess the RSM was just in like November 23. That one I finished second in the Monday, but was in a big playoff and didn't manage to get to that one. So it was a tough year that way. And I kind of felt like going into 2023 that I needed to make some like adjustments in my game. But when you have status, you're like, well, I have an opportunity now where, like, if I get in one event and play decently, I can get reshuffled in. You play the whole year, like all of a sudden you have a schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of in this limbo of, let's obviously try to capitalize or maximize every opportunity I do have. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know if I really have it, where I want my game to be, because, I feel like I have some things I need to improve to really, you got to shoot 20, 25 under for 4 days, which is a lot different than trying to shoot 7 under for 1 day or something like that, So, and then after that last year, I didn't keep my card anywhere really. So I'm back to square one. And and then now I figured I truly have time to make changes. So nothing on the horizon. We're back to square one with a lot more knowledge, experience, and still feel like the best is ahead for me.
So Michael, is there any like specific moment? Like, I know you mentioned there were a lot of like runner-up finishes on Monday Qs and stuff like that. So
yeah,
those can get taxing. Like, even like hearing you just kind of explain it, it sounds a little taxing. It's obviously, there's a lot of finances involved in that, but like, was there any like moment where you were just like, all right, like I'm just going to break it down. We were talking about it before I hit record there, but we're into a swing change. So that's kind of like where I'm coming with this question. Was there a moment where you said, okay, like it's time, I'm just going to break it down. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get it worked out and get it to that next level?
Well, like in the back of my mind when I'm playing all these Mondays, I'm like, well, there's a chance that like if I don't get into anything, then I'm just like back to square one type of thing.
Right.
There wasn't really a particular moment. You always show up thinking like, yeah, today I'll shoot 62 and then I'll have a great week and just continue, because seriously, you are 5 days, I guess, from like changing your life, right? I was in that kind of so close yet so far kind of stage of like, having status is important, because if you just go on a Monday with no status, like it's especially now they keep changing the rules. I don't even think you can get status without winning anymore on either tour. Like you get non-member points, and then there's very conditions on whether you can get into any more events after that. So like even if it's conditional status, it's big to have status, just because that one good finish will now move you up the list. Whereas if you're not a member, you're not really gaining anything on the points list for most of these tours now, where they have change things. So I'm trying to be, positive in that sense, where it's like, hey, I get through a Monday and then I have a decent 4 days, and like now I have a schedule. I'm set. I can just, carry that momentum on, and you never know what happens from there, right? So it's golf, but and really, it was more the wedge game where I noticed it. Like the longer clubs, what I was doing before, I could kind of get away with the longer clubs, hitting it okay. Like I drove it really well, and the longer, long irons, mid irons were fine. But what I was kind of doing was kind of tying me up with the shorter the shot got, shorter the club got. I practiced enough to make it work, but like I've never have a wedge in my hand and really be like, oh yeah, I could hold this. It's kind of like took a lot of effort to hit it to like 10 feet. Like I could hit it serviceably, but didn't have the true feeling of like precision. The ball wasn't coming off the face consistently. The depth of my divots were kind of inconsistent, and it just was never a feeling of like I really have control over the shorter shot. So that was the main thing for me. It's like, especially, sure, in the PGA Tour, you're not hitting as many wedges, but definitely main tour golf, Canadian Tour golf, even KFT, it's a lot of shorter wedge shots. And, it should be theoretically easy if you're, a short club, a lot of loft, ball's not really curving a lot, but just, I could sense something was off. Like I said, obviously I didn't know what it was, but I was searching for, just some more guidance on that, some more clarity as to why I was struggling, someone that could help me turn that around. And, obviously everyone, you say, oh, I want to make more putts, but that's, if you're hitting good putts, there's only so much you can do. But like becoming a better wedge player with your strike and flight is like, it's a noticeable improvement.
Yeah, definitely don't say it's
Um,
easier, or it's easier because you have shorter shots though, because I'm kind of in the same boat as you, especially on a lot of the more public tracks playing from shorter
yeah.
yardage. I can hit the ball pretty far. My wedges are terrible, and I'll go shoot 78, and probably my strokes gain chipping are probably -40.
Yeah, well, just there's a lot more. I don't know. For me, the way I was swinging, like the longer clubs gave me more time to get the
Square it
face where I
up.
wanted to, but there was just
Right.
too much. But I didn't even, like I said, know where to start, like in terms
Mhm.
of changing it. So I've always, whenever I was seeing any instructors, it was kind of like, oh, yeah, my wedge game is not where I want it to be, and that's kind of where I would start from, because generally my overall motion was kind of like, even though I'm a drawer of the golf ball, my overall like shape of my swing was more of like a pull cut, because I was really trying to cover it on my left side, and
Mhm.
and just kind of swing left and all that good stuff. And I like to fade it off the tee, so that worked really well with the driver. And like I said, I drove it very well. I did a lot of fairways. I still hit it far enough, even though I might have been sacrificing, say, 10 yards. But with the technology and the equipment now, you can still get a fade out there, like just as far
Mhm.
as a draw. But I didn't have a lot of space for the club to. That's why my complaint would always, to me, it felt like I had no space between like my body and the club. Like if you're looking at me from down the line, it felt like I was like very close to the club and the ball, and kind of jammed, and not being able to let the club kind of release and pass by or into impact. So yeah, it was a bit of a search, and I obviously at that time I didn't realize that the fix for that was kind of the fix for the whole golf swing. Like it wasn't like I can just make an adjustment to the wedges and that'll be fine. It was kind of an overall problem.
So
But yeah,
how did that like? So when you go to you seek out like an instructor, like you say if you're standing
mm-hmm.
like a little bit too close to the ball, like maybe somebody thinks you're like getting too steep or something. I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, do you go
Yeah,
with any idea, or do you like kind of just go there, see what their thoughts are, see what that,
yeah,
you said you went it through like maybe about 10 different
yeah,
opinions before you really
yeah.
kind of
I mean, it
sunk into
was
one.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I would go with like my concerns, like, hey, I do this and this well, I don't do this and this well.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking for. I was like, I didn't say this, but I was kind of looking for somebody to like kind of take the reins and be like, okay, this is what's happening. This is why. This is where you need to go, because I didn't have that knowledge.
Yeah.
So I had half the guys that were like, oh, this guy is a Korn Ferry Tour member. He must know what he's doing. And I got the impression that they were kind of a little afraid to really say anything too big, because
Right.
they thought, we'll just make a little tweaks here. I don't want to ruin the guy. Like nobody wants to be
Yeah.
responsible for like ruining somebody. And like when you're making a huge swing change,
Yeah.
it's a possibility that you never recover from that, right?
Did you ever
So
like we've been lucky enough to chat with Brian Mafleski. He was on the way back
yeah.
from I don't know, he's in the car somewhere, and we chatted for like a couple hours. Him and I just on the phone. We recorded some of it too, which was great. But did you ever like reach out to him or somebody like in that wedge world to try to like see if that was something that you could like rectify before you got into like before realizing that it was like a full swing piece?
Yeah, I reached out to him a while ago, like a couple of years now, but that was for putting. But I'm sure I would have, hey, while we're here, might as well talk about chipping and wedges. But it's kind of a little bit of a situation where like you don't know what you don't know. So it's like, I know I need to get better, but like from here to where I want to go is kind of blurry. It's gray. I need something to fill in that blank for me. So I can
Just
only,
some guidance.
I can only give him so much information. So I want to get better.
Man, you're talking to
I
two
think that
guys
looks
who
like
know a lot of what they know they don't know. If that makes
Yeah.
any sense, like there's
of course,
there's a lot of
Well,
that
it's
going on
important.
here. It's
Yeah.
and we're searching for it. We're all searching for it, but like it sounds like it's kind of on the right path. So was there like a piece of the swing that like you're working on specifically now to fix?
Yeah, I mean it's basically my entire swing from setup to finish is different now. So my setup, my coach is named Carl Rabito. He teaches down here in Orlando and up in Bolingbrook, Illinois, near Chicago in the summers. But he he explained, he didn't just say, set up like this because it looks good or because I want you to. He had a thoughtful and intelligent and reasonable explanation for everything, right? There's no, oh, just do that. Whatever you can do whatever you want with this, or whatever feels good there. It's like there's a reason for that. Kind of a simple explanation would be, so your finger is only designed to bend in this direction where your joints are. So why would you try to bend it sort of in a direction that isn't designed to bend? And with golf, I know obviously that's very oversimplification. We have a lot of joints and some things are more mobile than others. Some, like your knees and your elbows, can only bend one way, but like your ankles are more of a mobile joint, and shoulders and hips can move they're more ball and socket. So again, this is oversimplification, but essentially, instead of making a bunch of compensations, trying to bend things, move things the way they don't move, we're going to move them the way that they're designed to move. And that's also not just for hitting the ball better, but for longevity, like to reduce or basically eliminate the risk of injury as well. So that was it was eye-opening, which is kind of like that's what I was saying. I didn't know what I was looking for, but it's kind of one of those things when you see it, or when you hear it, So changed the setup. My grip was okay. Setup changed, and takeaway changed a lot. Backswing, like my backswing, I'm still working on. That changed substantially, kind of everything. And then, I had some of the right ideas of what I wanted to do, sort of into and through impact, but I wasn't in like a position where it was anatomically possible to really do what I wanted to, because of what I was doing in the backswing. So I was trying hard to cover it, swing left, all this good stuff. But I was just basically getting to the left side immediately. And then like from there, the only way you can go is kind of backing up a little bit. But because I'm a good player, I'm not really going to let myself back up too much. Like I'm not just going to like fall back on it. Like you see like an amateur.
Yeah.
But that's, I was always, I fortunately didn't have any serious injuries, but like I would always be sore. Like I get some soreness in my wrists or my shoulders or my back, like, because I'm practicing a lot. Fortunately, didn't do any serious damage, but.
Well, also those new movements too. I mean, your body's not used to them. I mean, your old swing, your body's used to that same swing every day. And once you add in some new movements or some new ways to move your body, I mean, you can get sore just from your muscles saying, "Oh, I don't really know this movement."
Yeah.
So.
Well, I noticed it wasn't like a soreness of like, oh, this is going to cause an injury. It was a soreness of like, oh, I've never used this in that way before.
Exactly. Yeah.
So kind of a new, but I actually started feeling like less tight and sore all over my body after like a month, because I started using things the way they were designed to be used.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to force things to go in ways that they're not designed to be used.
So are you still hitting your normal ball flight then, like a fade off a tee and kind of like a draw everywhere else? Is that kind of what the goal is?
I mean, I started working with Carl January 1st, so it's been like 10 weeks, and I probably only started making like real full swings maybe like after like 6 or 7 weeks, just because it was such new mechanics for me that like ball flight was like 10th on the list of priorities, like hitting it. I mean, we've had full lessons where like, I'll be out there for 2 hours and like I won't even really hit the ball. Like I'm swinging at the ball, but I'll be like missing it or like chunking it or whatever, like shanking it. I mean, just because I don't care. To me, it doesn't matter when I'm trying to learn something what the ball does. I'm just trying to imprint a new like motor skill or pattern. Because basically, I mean, your brain is gonna like it's gonna use neural pathways, or I'm not like saying I'm a neuroscientist, but from what I understand, it's gonna send a signal to your muscles from your brain, and the ones you use most are kind of the ones that are imprinted, or you look at it like the highway, like the 403 or whatever. That's your neural pathway that your signal gets sent down. And so I'm trying to create new ones, so like hacking a path through the forest here. So I have to do very deliberate, slow, methodical, conscious movements over and over and over and over to imprint those. If I just make a couple rehearsals and then swing full, I'm still going to use that old like neural pathway and
muscle
just keep
memory,
making the same mistakes over and over again. So it's didn't hit too many full shots for the first like basically 2 months, because I was just probably not going to be able to do the new movements at a full speed yet, because I didn't have those connections between the brain and muscles imprinted quite yet. So it's still an ongoing process, but we're starting to finally get through most of the hard part of the main, like the big changes, which is, I mean, the setup didn't take that long. Backswing, I'm still kind of working through, but it's like almost there, which finally is now I'm able to make more the downswing moves that I want, because I can get into a position that will allow the proper, transition and impact. Things aren't in the way, blocking each other. So yeah, we're kind of on the other side here. Like I said, obviously I'd like to get back ready to play by, the PGA Tour America's Q School is like late May, early June. So hopefully be ready for that. But it's like, the time's going to pass, whether I make a swing change or not. So I might as well just get it over with and be good set for the long haul.
That was kind of one of my next questions, is like muscle memory is one thing that will always try to take over. Like you're like you said, you got to Korn Ferry Tour based on like just how skilled you were working with something that maybe wasn't necessarily working completely for you. So it's still going to try, your body is always going to try and take you back there. Like we've all struggled with that in many different things. Like you can do that in any type of like fitness movement, really. It's going to try and go back to what it knows, what it's most comfortable with. So is there any like timeline? Like it sounds like you're just kind of like open to, if it takes this long, it takes this long. It's like we're working towards something bigger.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how long it's supposed to take, should take. I'm just kind of following the lead of Carl here. He's kind of putting my trust into him. But like I told him beforehand, kind of what my goals were in my timeline. Like, obviously with what events are coming up, I was hoping that that 5-6 months would be kind of enough to be at a playable level. Like I'm not kind of guy to think like, hey, I can make a swing change in like 2 weeks, it'll be good. Like normally a major swing change is probably going to take at least like a year. But I was like, hey, is there any, hopefully can we make this, you think, playable in 5-6 months? And so he was adamant that would be possible. And now kind of, like I said, about 10 weeks in, it looks to be like we're on the right track here, starting to see some results. And the ball flight, when I, make a full swing, it's pretty straight. I would say it draws slightly, but it's mostly just kind of a straight ball for now. But I mean, that kind of depends what I'm working on. The swing isn't, fully, it's not done. Like I wouldn't, I would say I'm probably, I don't even know, 70%, 60-70%. So it depends what we're working on. Some days it'll be drawn, some days it'll be fading, some days it'll be high, some days it'll be low. It kind of depends on that specific piece that we're working on. But overall, at the end of the day, it should be pretty straight, pretty neutral, not a whole lot of movement, and very repeatable and injury-free, which is the main thing.
Well, yeah, because that was one of the things that, like, when you mentioned it right off the hop, you're saying, you're somebody who's golfing every day, pretty much. Like, you're out playing even Mondays. Hopefully, getting into pro-ams on Wednesdays and then playing a full week and weekend, right? So like some days you're playing 6 days a week and probably practicing on the one off day that you might get. So when you were talking about like your divot patterns not being, being a little bit less shallow or chunkier than, some of them, it's kind of one of those things where that's got to be incredibly frustrating for you to think like which one am I going to hit? Like which one am I going to like which shot am I going to hit when I'm 100 yards out or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, like I felt like I was doing the same thing, but
Yeah.
and that was the most frustrating thing is like it's not like as much as I practice, like something has to be wrong because I can't feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again, and like ball's kind of not flying, like coming off the face consistently. It's not flying consistently. I'm like, this is, I'm doing something wrong here. And I'm talking at like a professional level. Like if someone was just watching me on the range, they'd say, oh yeah, this guy hits it great.
Yeah.
Same every time. But like, I can feel that like, if it's going, even on a wedge shot, if it's going 8 feet left, 8 feet right, that's a big dispersion. It's like, why am I can't start it online every time? I mean,
yeah,
if you go watch a tour venue, I'm not saying they want to they're going to hit to a foot every time, but they're going to start it online more times than not. They're going to make the same motion over and over and have, different start lines and different curves and heights and spins and, not that level.
And my game's in a tough spot. I'm realizing I'm in a bad spot right now. I'm in a bad place, Bryce. I got a lot of work to do, man. It's if we can, Michael, like we mentioned that you're from Ancaster, so can we take it back to 2019? You played in the Canadian Open. That was like one of the biggest. Obviously, we had the biggest Canadian Open in history last year with Nick Taylor winning. Like it's going to be impossible probably to even beat that with a 72-foot putt, but from a Canadian, which is amazing. But prior to that Rory year was like one of the biggest ones. I remember like coming up on the 18th behind like the 18th green at Hamilton was just like saturated with people. Big year. You're a young guy. Unfortunately, you didn't make the cut, but what was the experience like for you? Kind of how'd you get into it? And then what was that week like, or even the time like leading up to it? What was it like kind of getting ready for an event like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was right after I was coming off the shoulder recovery. So I started playing basically March 1st. I started playing again, and the qualifier was like early May, I think. So it was like maybe just over 2 months, and I was not playing well at all, obviously. I hadn't really touched a club much for about 2 years. But I mean, you always sign up for Canadian Open qualifier. I mean, that's, as Canadians, that's kind of the one tournament you want to win. I mean, you could say, some guys I'm sure would say, oh, I want to win the Masters #1, but like it's 1A, 1B is the Canadian Open probably. And especially being in Hamilton, and I live 5 minutes down the road from Hamilton. It's like my favorite golf course ever. So yeah, it was in the Canadian Open, the pre-qualifier, they have the only difference with that versus other tour events. If you win the pre-qualifier, you get an exemption into the golf tournament. So normally you go to the pre-qualifier and then you go to the Monday, and it's 4 spots on the Monday. But if the pre-qualifier, I think there's 5-ish different pre-qualifiers to the Canadian Open. If those fields have more than 100 players and you win, then you get right in. So it was at TPC Toronto on the North Course. I think I broke 75 maybe once 2 months before. And I went out there and shot 64, shot 8 under somehow. The North Course, just, I don't know, I had a good day, I guess. Didn't really have much expectation. And I finished real early, like 11:30. I was like almost the first, if not the first, one of the first tee times of the day. Finished around 11:30 in the morning, and I waited like the entire day to see if anybody is going to match that or beat that, because there's only one spot. So if someone tied me, would have had a playoff for the Canadian Open spot at the end. And so I was in, I guess where that's at, like Orangeville, Caledon area.
Yeah.
So I couldn't go home, like back to Ancaster,
No,
especially
there's
traffic
nothing.
and everything. So
Yeah,
I just
there's
basically
nothing
just
around
sat
there.
there. I don't even know what I did. I think it was with my dad. I think we were gonna like try to see a movie or something. I don't know. I don't think we did, but just hanging around, waited the whole day basically till sunset for the last groups to finish, and then was fortunate enough to win that, and yeah, I got right in. And the week was awesome. I played a bunch out there, probably 2 or 3 weeks prior to the Open, just because I was so close. I just emailed the head pro and, okay, I'm in the Open. Can I come out here a little bit and check out the golf course? Game was still not very good, but just gonna give it my all and try my best. And played a practice round with Padre Harrington. I remember that was awesome. He was like the nicest guy ever, just like complete gentleman and awesome guy. And yeah, I had a really fun time. I remember, even though I didn't like feel confident about my game, I remember feeling like very calm inside the ropes, which I thought was good because I expected to be nervous because I didn't, like I said, I didn't have much confidence in my game leading up to that point. I didn't really have much reason to. I was not shooting any good scores, besides the score to qualify. So yeah, not having a Monday queue was nice for that. And yeah, it was an awesome week. I took advantage of everything I could. I hung out in the clubhouse on the weekend still, in the players lounge, and was there every day, even though I missed the cut. And it was fun. Like I said, I felt surprisingly like calm inside the ropes, which that was kind of, I thought, big for me. It was like, okay, I have no game, especially relative to where I think I am now. I had like no game at all, and I still feel like okay inside the ropes. I think I started in the back nine. I think I bogeyed 18 to shoot one or two over, which is like, yeah, that's not too bad. Like that course was playing so hard. The rough was like thickest. I mean, Rory won by like 9 or something, but that was also a fun fact. Me and Colin Morikawa both made our PGA Tour debut that week. I think that was Morikawa's first event. I think he finished like 10th or something. But I think like 8 under was top 10. I mean, it was like very, very difficult. Somebody who had no game coming into that, it was a bit of a struggle. Even though, like I said, I only shot 1 or 2 over in the front, which was good. I felt calm, tried to soak it all in and do my best. But now, like I said, that feels like yesterday, but also feels like I'm not even the same person. It was like 2 lifetimes ago. So hoping that can get this swing change and this game sorted out and try to get back there again for my 5-year redemption here at the 2024 Canadian Open, because I don't feel that's obviously representative of my abilities, but yeah, it was a great time just to be there at that point.
Oh man, like you said too, like you mentioned it earlier, like you just got to play well, like one day, couple days in a row, put it together, and it can change your whole year too, right? You don't really know. You can grab status somewhere based on that. So hopefully you're there. I'll be there watching for sure. I'm sure Bryce might even that's not too far for you, Bryce. You might even come over.
No,
and check
I think
that
we're gonna try to make the trip down this year for it.
Yeah, it'll be pretty good. So now if we can go back a little bit further, so I think when we first met, we quickly said hello at TPC. I was carrying for Jake that week, and I think we we're hitting balls with you on the range, I believe. I think that's where we first kind of met, and I was just carrying for Jake that week. But and then a little bit, a couple weeks later, you're down in PEI and you win down there. So we mentioned it before. That was ages ago. It's probably back in the archive somewhere. But what was that experience for you getting that first pro win?
Yeah, that was a good one. That golf course, it was like the first 2 days was pretty benign conditions, and the scoring was decent. And I can't remember. That's that. I don't know if I was either tied for the lead. I was either leading, tied for the lead, or like one back through 2 rounds, something like that. And then that same score ended up winning through 4 rounds because it started blowing 45 for Saturday, Sunday. So that was, I mean, I just had met a guy earlier in the week that was a friend of a friend who was like, "Hey, you need a caddy for the week?" And I was like, "Yeah, not really, but like, sure." So someone to talk to. I don't know if that helped or not, but like the conditions were just so hard on the weekend. The course was firm and fast. It like completely changed from Thursday and Friday.
Right.
So I didn't even have time to really think about like, oh, I'm leading, oh, I'm not leading, I'm one back or I'm ahead. Like I think I was ahead or a couple behind, like switching throughout the 3rd and 4th rounds, but like it was just
you're just trying to get the ball in the hole.
Yeah, so much concentration of just like, you hit this, it's gone because it's 45, blowing 45 in a crosswind on those holes, and it's like you're so focused on just keeping it in play and being committed and making the best swing you can, that there wasn't really time to think about. And plus there wasn't a ton. I think there was a few leaderboards, but it's not like, it's not like a tour event, PGA Tour event, where there's leaderboards all over the place. Like you don't really know. You have a sense of what the lead is at, but you don't 100% know where you stand. But I do remember finishing birdie par birdie to what I thought was like my main goal. I was just trying to beat the guy in my group, to be honest, because he was playing pretty well as well, and I thought I was 1 ahead of him or so. I couldn't remember it. I didn't have his card, but I was like, I'm around there, and like I just want to, you can't win, or nothing good can happen unless you're low in your own group, right? So I remember that was just kind of my focus, was to get through the tough stretch there in the middle. I think the like 13, 14 was kind of some of the tougher holes, and then the ending was like drivable par four, par three with like a 45-yard drop off a cliff, and then a short par five, so you could kind of make up some ground there at the end. And yeah, I mean, that was exciting to hit. Like looking back, I think I didn't really miss a shot on the final nine, so that was kind of like a good feeling to be like, hey, I'm right in the thick of things, and I'm at the point where it's the conditions are so hard. If you don't execute on a shot, like, it's just ball's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that ball striking has always been a strength of mine, but it really obviously is being tested at this point. And yeah, to hit all the shots that I needed to coming in, and to make those couple birdies to finish was really enjoyable. And like, I was shocked that I was even like potentially to be in a playoff when I finished. I thought, I think I finished a 9 or 10 under, which is where I was through two rounds. And I was like, oh, that might be top five. Like, that's good. But my goal for the year is to finish top five of the points so I can get my Mackenzie Tour card for the next year. And then they're like, hey, you're a leader in the clubhouse. I was like, really? It was a little surprised. I don't know, for whatever reason. I think at some point someone had got to 10 or 11 or something. And, I just was like, I didn't even expect that. And then all of a sudden, a couple more groups come in. I was in the maybe third last group or so, something like that. And then, a guy, Max Sear, I don't know if you guys know him, the Canadian lefty there. He birdied 18 to tie me. And we went back to the 18th tee for a playoff. And I was just like, honestly happy I felt awesome in the playoff. I was just happy to be in a playoff, because I didn't think that I had a chance that 9 or whatever I finished at had a chance to win. And I got up and down from the famous bunker front left on 18 there. It's like a 10-foot deep bunker that they all talk about, and it's on all their their website and everything at that golf course. And managed to get up and down out of that for birdie to win. And it was awesome. It was kind of, it wasn't like you made a putt to win, where like, you make this, it's over. It was kind of like I made the putt and then Max had a chance to tie.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get the chance for like the full celebration victory win. But I mean, you're not going to complain about a win, right? You take any way you get it. And that was definitely a special one. And one I'm very proud of.
I feel like getting out, like up and down out of that bunker too. I remember kind of following along, because you and I think chatted after the second or third round, like just quickly, like on Instagram or something like that. And then I sent you a message, and I remember you just like, I think it was that night, you were just like laying in bed, you were like gassed, and you were just like, you're just so happy though, right? It's just like, it's got to be just such a relief too. So then that kind of like goes into 2022, and then I think you finished like third or fourth, right, in the order of merit in 2022. So I
2021, and then but yeah, I mean, like, thinking you can win and then winning is like different things, right? So and then that was I think I can't remember if I finished fourth or fifth. Right at the end, there was like a kind of a scenario where, like, if a couple guys finished first and second, I could have got knocked out, but I managed to finish in that top five, which was great. And then move on to 2022. I top 10 the first event. I was leading the first event in Victoria that year. That was a full year of Mackenzie Tour, and got sick on Friday night and kind of limped my way into a top 10. And then that was kind of an up and down year. But like I said, finished with getting through Q school in the fall. So it was kind of just a journey of learning a lot, figuring things out. Definitely the year before 2021, that the traveling I thought helped a lot, because we played 8 events, but it was so condensed. It started so late that we played 8 events in 9 weeks or something like that. And then I also had played the week off. I think I played the Canada Cup in Quebec. So it was like 9 events in 10 weeks or something. And like learning how to travel on Monday, play for 6 days, and then travel again on Monday and do that 9 out of 10 weeks was definitely helpful. Even though I didn't have the best year, 2022, didn't keep my card in the Canadian Tour. I missed that by a couple points. And then, then getting through Q school, I think the Q school has got to be the ultimate test of kind of mental and physical. It's, that was my actually first attempt ever actually at Q school. So I kind of had no expectations going into that. I was disappointed with my finish on the Canadian Tour in 2022. But I was like, you know what, I had enough good finishes and to where I still think I can do it, obviously. But just that was the first kind of either non-COVID year or non-injury year where I could go to KFTQ school. And I know that it's hard, but like when you never done it, you're like, yeah, why? I'm just playing golf. Like why can't you make it through?
Well,
and sure enough,
we had heard that from quite a few guys. I remember Ty Saloni kind of like stands out when he's telling us about that. 'Cause he got through to, I think, final stage, and he was just like, it's Zach said the same thing, Bryce, where he's just like, you just have to you have to go as low as you possibly can, right? Like there's no like just trying to shoot a number to get into a weekend or something like that. Like you're trying to shoot as low as you possibly can every single time you're out there. So it's almost like I don't know, it would feel like a bingo machine or something, man. You're just hoping to be the ball that gets like popped, right? It's just
literally.
There's just all like the I guess skill, like the variance and the disparity, like between the skill levels from like the players playing like at the top of the Canadian Tour or Mac Tour or whatever it was at the time to like even like guys that are playing PGA Tour. Like there's not that much difference. We're seeing that with like Etienne Papineau, like Paps right now. Like he's a little while ago, he was on for episode 150, and at the time, like he might have been one of the best players on the planet at the time. Like he beat like Sebastian Munoz and Abe Ancer and like Neiman and stuff like that in the Pan Am Games. Like this game was insane at the time. Like it was absolutely crazy, right? So it's kind of goes back to that, where all you need is a couple days, right? It can kind of change your life. You can be 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, I played that year 2022. I played a bunch with Jake Knapp, and he was just kind of, again, he was kind of the same. Not exactly the same as me, but like that for him was like starting from scratch again, kind of going back to a little bit of a reset for him after he's kind of struggling on the KFT. And then, sure enough, he's a year and a half later wins in the PGA Tour. So yeah, like the top guys, I mean, the top guys on the Canadian Tour end up on the PGA Tour. They're obviously there's not the depth of the PGA Tour, of course, but the guys that are top 5, top 10 for the year on that tour are going to usually continue right on. So it's tough. I mean, it's tough to win anywhere now. Everyone's really good, and you got to be on top of it and give yourself the opportunities, and then make the most of those when they come around. But like at Q school, it's just there's no, you just tell yourself there's no like. It's hard, but there's no sense in being afraid of anything or worrying about the results or that. It's like you just try your absolute best the whole, and be as disciplined as you can, have a game plan, try your absolute best every shot. If you try your best and you're fully committed to what you're doing, and you're not purposely making any mental mistakes, and it's not good enough, and you're okay, well, I did everything I could do. The last thing I want, or anyone wants, is to go out there and do stupid things that you have control of, like making uncommitted swings or not having a clear intent on the shot or your target, or just mental errors, really not giving yourself the best opportunity, letting something bother you that shouldn't be bothering you, things like that, where it's like, I didn't really allow myself to do my best. If you do your best and it doesn't work out, then you just go back to the range and practice and try to get better.
I love that outlook, man. That's such a good outlook. I wish everybody had that outlook, because it's one of those things too. And then like you can get deeper, like getting into the middle of a swing change, like when you're just like, okay, like it's like it's here, but you want to be here, right? That's why, like, by the end of the conversation, I'm a believer. By the end of the conversation, hopefully the listeners are a believer. Michael Blair will be there, man. It'll be a PGA Tour start every week, hopefully, man. So hopefully we see you back in Hamilton this year. Would absolutely love to connect with you, say hello, but hopefully we get to see you there again, and hopefully the swing changes go well, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of connect with us and share. It's been 180 something conversations now. We've never talked to somebody that's such an elite golfer that's kind of going through what you're going through right now. So it's really interesting, man. Really cool.
Give you credit too, because not a lot of guys at that level would take that much time out of their game to completely change everything. So it's impressive you're sticking with. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it, it's like I just go through this period now to have, hopefully a great 15 or 20 years after that, or I can just keep struggling and then maybe never make it and have to, give it up. So I'm fortunate enough to have this little window. Like, it's not forever. I can't just keep not playing well and not making any cuts or any money or anything like that. It's nothing's forever. So I'm fortunate right now to have a short period where I am able to try to make changes that I hope are going to, help spur me on for for the rest of my career and get that stuff out of the way and get the changes done now, and then to be all uphill from there.
Awesome, man.
There you
That's
go.
so cool. I hope we can have you back when you get when you kind of clean up the swing changes and stuff, when you're feeling good, when you're feeling kind of back, and you're playing regular golf. Maybe we can catch up with you after your next win, man. That'd be great.
Yeah, sure, I'd love to.
All right, Mike. Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Is out in my ball in the course where I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross, worst case scenario.